When it comes to TS Classic reviews on this channel, I mainly look at steam locomotives, but I like a bit of variety from time to time. As such, this video is all about something different in the form of a unique train that no longer exists in real life. Well, not in her original form anyway. This is the Class 460 Juniper electric multiple unit. But first, a brief history on the Class 460. These 8-car electric multiple units were built by Alstom between 1999 and 2001, having been designed specifically for the Gatwick Express service from London Victoria to Gatwick Airport, which, at the time, was still operated with Class 73 electro-diesel locomotives and Class 489 GLVs in a top and tail formation with Mark II coaches. 460-004 was the first unit from the new class to enter service, doing so in September 2000, but due to various mechanical issues, the 460s were unable to fully replace the old fleet until 2005. There was a total build-out of only 8 units in this class, and each unit was made up of 2 driving motor coaches, one at each end of course, then 3 intermediate motor coaches and 3 intermediate trailer coaches. Most of the train had a standard class seating, but some first class was provided at the London end of the train. Speaking of which, one of the driving coaches was mostly taken up by a large luggage compartment, and this end of the train always faced London Victoria. Some rail fans gave these units the nickname Darth Vaders, due to the shape of their nose cone. Incidentally, I've never seen a single Star Wars film myself. At the time of the 460's introduction, the Gatwick Express service only ran as far south as the airport itself, and the small fleet size was enough to provide services every 15 minutes in each direction between Victoria Station and the airport. In 2008, the standalone Gatwick Express franchise was merged into the South Central franchise, and there was a plan to extend Gatwick Express services all the way to Brighton. However, the Class 460 fleet was too small to support both the Brighton extension and 15-minute headways, so Southern brought in some refurbished Class 442s to supplement the 460s. In their original Class 460 condition, these units were not particularly long-lasting. More 442s were refurbished for the Gatwick Express service, which resulted in the newer 460s all being withdrawn by 2012. Not even 15 years after they were introduced. But seeing as they shared many technical aspects with the Class 458 units on South West trains, most of the former 460 vehicles were not scrapped. Instead, they were rebuilt and reformed as Class 458/5 units for SWT, later South Western Railway, to increase capacity on services from London Waterloo to Reading or Windsor and Eton Riverside, and some of the 458/5s have since been refurbished again and redesignated as Class 458/4. The story of the 458/4 refurbishment is a whole other kettle of fish in and of itself, so I won't go into it in detail for the video. 4 of the former Class 460 driving/luggage coaches were not used in the 458/5 rebuild program, and those obsolete coaches were all scrapped. As for the Class 442 plastic pigs, they didn't last long on the Gatwick Express, and starting in 2016, they were replaced by brand new Class 387/2 Electrostars, which still run the Gatwick service to this day. The Class 460 was developed as a train simulator add-on by Master Key Simulations and released on the 29th of September 2017. At the time of publishing this video, in late June 2026, the add-on is still available on Steam for a full price of $24.79 NZD, or whatever the equivalent is in your local currency. In addition to the Class 460 herself, you also get the Class 73 Electro-Diesel, in Southern or Gatwick Express liveries, and with only one number, 73202. Luckily, Vulcan Productions have made a big reskin pack for the Class 73, with the reskins depicting other members of the class, including, but certainly not limited to, 73107 Tracy and 73129 City of Winchester, and I'll include a link to the VP website in the description. Come to think of it, does anyone know what happened to Master Key Simulations? I haven't heard anything from them in ages. Originally, the Class 73 was modelled for TS Classic by Iron Horse House, and that model was re-released by Dovetail in February 2016, a few years after IHH went out of business. However, DTG's initial re-release of the Class 73 only includes one livery, namely Intercity-era Gatwick Express, and they also released a BR Blue variant as part of a different add-on in May 2016. I was curious to see how the version included with the Class 460 compares to either the Gatwick or BR Blue variants from Dovetail, so I conducted a couple of test runs on Just Trains' Marsden Show route of 2014, and found that the MKS version has better cab textures and additional clickable switches in the cab, not to mention the addition of cabside windows that can actually be opened, while the sound set is noticeably better than the default offering from Dovetail. For one thing, the horn sounds noticeably smoother on the MKS version. The DTG Gatwick 73 is unusual in that the throttle controls in diesel mode are the same as normal, as in A to increase and D to decrease, but that's reversed for the electric throttle. It's a different setup on the MKS 73, where you'll need to press Ctrl A to switch throttles, then make sure you've got the reverser out of neutral and the AWS change end lever flipped up before attempting to take power. The default Dovetail 73 doesn't have a functioning AWS change end lever. One thing about the MKS version that really annoys me is her lack of a manual, which means that I had to figure out how to change power modes, and actually just set the locomotive up in general, as I went along, but I obviously got there in the end. As is realistic, the Class 73 is much weaker in electric than when she's in diesel mode. Once you've finally figured out how to get the damn thing moving, it's worth noting that the MKS 73 features working cab-secure radio and GSMR modules, a Scharfenberg coupler for dragging a dead 460, and realistic electro-pneumatic and automatic air brake modes, with the ability to switch between the two brake modes while driving. One last thing about the MKS Class 73. You can switch between diesel and electric modes on the fly. As far as I'm concerned, MKS did a pretty good job with modelling on the Class 460, to the point where I reckon the model has aged very well. It doesn't really feel like 2017 was as many as 9 years ago, if you ask me. This is a reasonably advanced train, to the point where it's very important that you read the manual before driving this thing for the first time. Things discussed in the manual include, but are certainly not limited to, details on all the cab controls, images showing you what each of the buttons and levers etc. in the cab actually are, and instructions on how to use the functioning train management system screen, as well as the cab secure radio or GSMR modules. On the TMS screen, you can enter a 5-digit operator code, then program the announcements and check the train's status. However, the announcements are somewhat muffled, and I have trouble making out exactly what the voice is saying. If you're in driver-only operation, you'll need to open the doors by pressing T as well as either U or O, depending on whether the platform is on the left or right-hand side. You'll get a pop-up on screen to let you know when it's time to close the doors, in which case you'll need to press R, then wait until the door interlock light has illuminated before setting off. Due to my lack of familiarity with the real 460s, I can't verify the accuracy of the sounds on the in-game unit. After driving the Class 460, it's a bit jarring to go over to the Class 175 or Class 180. I say that it's jarring because the 175 and 180 have very similar cab interiors to, and are part of the same family as, the 460, but the DMUs don't have the same level of detail and features, especially in their default states. In any case, the 460 add-on also includes 3 scenarios for the old London to Brighton route of June 2012. Disappointingly, none of the 460's default scenarios involve a passenger service starting at London Victoria, so I've had to use a workshop scenario for these scenes. One of the default scenarios is an empty stock move from Stewart's Lane Depot to Three Bridges in foggy weather. Another involves preparing a unit from cold in the sidings south of Gatwick Airport station, then running a passenger service to London, and the third involves a passenger run from Brighton to London on a sunny weekend morning. As has historically been the case for many a TS Classic add-on released on Steam, the Class 460's default scenarios are all in career mode, because of course they are. In closing, I have mixed thoughts on the MKS Class 460 add-on for Train Simulator. In terms of overall quality, I would argue that she's one of the better British EMUs that we have in this game, and she can be fun to drive. But there's an elephant in the room regarding this add-on, that being the 460's very limited, or outright non-existent, usage potential outside of fictional routes, and consequently, the value for money leaves something to be desired. Due to her low usage potential, I would only recommend the Class 460 to other TS Classic players if they happen to be particularly interested in the Brighton mainline. However, the included Class 73 is still a welcome addition, not just because she is an improvement on the default DTG offering, but also because she is useful as the basis for numerous community-made reskins. As for where I'd rate the Class 460 add-on overall, I honestly can't decide.